The very first Manitoba Podcast Festival goes down International Podcast Day, Sunday, September 30th, 12 to 4 p.m. at the Park Theatre. Manitoba's podcast community gathers for an afternoon of networking, education, and so much more, featuring local podcast hosts, producers, radio personalities, taking part in panel discussions and Q&As. Take part in this fantastic networking opportunity. You can like us on Facebook at Manitoba Podcast Festival. Tickets are just $5. The very first Manitoba Podcast Festival, Sunday, September 30th at the Park Theatre.
Thank you to everyone who supports my dad's show. If you'd like to support Witchpolice Radio, go to patreon.com/witchpolice today.
You're listening to Garbage Hill, Winnipeg's first podcast network.
Welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm your regular host Sam. I'm in Osborne Village, and I'm here with Crabskull.
Hello.
So I guess before we even get started into anything, I feel like I kind of saw your name around a lot. I mean, I definitely saw you at events and things and you used to work at Music Trader. I remember buying some reggae albums off you at numerous points in the past.
For sure.
And but I was never really sure what Crabskull was, and I kind of made the connection, that guy's Crabskull.
Okay.
But I feel like lately it seems like it's more defined, where you have a tape label and you've been doing a lot of production for people, and it seems more clear to me, maybe, that this is what Crabskull is. But how do you define what you do? Because you do a lot of different things, right?
It's true. I guess, I do a lot of different things, and I've always kind of thought that it's been kind of maybe difficult because I got DJing I was doing when first, I've always been producing stuff, but maybe not only more recently been kind of working with other artists.
Yeah, because you were doing your own tapes and stuff, and now you're producing for other people.
Yeah. Now I'm I'm definitely kind of, working with other artists and kind of working more within a community that I kind of just was a little, I just wasn't involved with. That's all. I wasn't involved with that. I was involved in a musical community when working with Trader and doing DJing dub stuff and always kind of producing stuff on the side. But now just kind of taking it a little more serious and just connecting with culture in Winnipeg. That's kind of I just kind of saw kind of just in bloom or I just kind of caught at a unique time.
Yeah.
And what I'm talking about is obviously specifically is 3-peat and just this kind of new wave of stuff that I kind of just maybe 3 or 4 years ago that I just kind of connected with and started seeing what was going on, and it was all happening at a time when I was just my production was I was just on a real bender with it, and things were kind of evolving, and so I just kind of connected with the culture. Cool. And so now working with other people and kind of doing different things. I don't know.
Well, I feel like 3-peat is kind of like the hub of the larger community of people doing, whether it's, the individual members doing solo stuff and doing their own productions, and then, people they frequently work with and R&B artists and things like that. It's just kind of this weird circle around them.
For sure.
That's drawing in all kinds of people. It's really cool to see.
It is neat. Yeah, there's a lot of magnetism there, and they got a unique appeal, in terms of what they're offering.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and just working with those guys and getting in touch with the Argyle space, and I had a studio in the basement there that I was using, and then they had a studio upstairs. So
is that how you met them, or?
And pretty well. I mean, I was associates with friends of them and stuff like that, but that's really where my real connection came with them.
Okay.
Because I was living right next door to that space, and I was just there every day. I was running into those guys.
Cool.
And it was the kind of situation where, it wasn't I could just walk into the 3-peat studio space and just be like, yo, what's going on?
Yeah.
And just really catch a vibe of really what they were working on right then and there.
Well, they're always doing so much new stuff too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Steve was making beat tapes. Dill was doing his own stuff, and at the time Roger was in that space, so he was doing his own stuff.
Right.
And everybody was doing something, man. Yeah. Cole, another homie of mine, was doing in a different space, working on stuff. It was a real inspiring place to be around because there was a real creative culture, and it was almost just this clubhouse vibe with the whole space.
Okay.
So a lot of people were just dropping in and out, and you know, I was in the basement, but I'd always go upstairs, see what's happening, have a smoke. You're connecting with a culture, and that's what we really were able to connect, you know.
And I guess that's how you get the collaboration happening too, right? Because someone shows up and does whatever they do on one track, and
yeah, it wasn't just like, oh, we got to hang out tomorrow and make this happen. It was always just like, just a meeting of chances every day. You know?
That's cool. That's really cool.
It was just real. It was a real kind of just natural kind of like, you know, thing, and I could just see what was happening, and it was an honor to be a part of that.
Cool. Do you think that your being a part of that kind of ramped up the amount of work you were doing? Because maybe it's just because social media, I'm noticing it more, but it seems like you've done a lot of stuff lately.
For sure, that's a combination of a few things. You know, like one aspect of it really has to do with getting more in touch with the online community.
Yeah.
So like, I got a phone, I got a computer. Like when I would have met you at Music Trader when I was selling reggae records, I did not have any of those things, and I was pretty isolated to just my bedroom with that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, so you're still making music, but just
I was still making music, but just not really meeting people other than like my closest friends were really aware of it,
right?
Or like, you know.
Well, then I guess you would occasionally DJ every once in a while, places and things like that.
Yeah, then I DJ and do that, and so people would know about that, but still may not know that I was making like hip hop beats.
For sure.
You know, on the sampler and this or that. But yeah, so working with 3P, or not working with 3P, but being in the Argyle space, what really helped me was just that studio, man. It was like I had a real nice space with a homie of mine had a sound system that he had set up in there.
Cool.
And it was like a real scoop sub sound system, you know, like real PA. And So I was just building tracks in this space, and I lived next door to it. So I was able to go. I was able to go there as much as not as much as I wanted to, but I was basically, since I lived next door, I was able to take advantage of the space more than the other people were, because other people would have to kind of, you know, go home.
Then just schedule it around,
Yeah, whereas I'd be like, oh, they're gone at 11 p.m. That means I got till 6 in the morning.
Yeah, for sure.
Night, you know, like.
Which is pretty good use of time, I guess, right? You can just blast out a whole bunch of.
I got that was about 2 years ago. I got so much work done in that basement that it was just a new phase for me. Yeah, I think the new phase had to do with the MPC 4000 too. Had to do with the shift of gear.
What were you using before?
Before this, I was using a Triton workstation.
Okay.
I still have it. It's a keyboard sampling workstation, and it's an amazing, powerful machine. But one thing with the Triton workstation is I never got into memory, so I was never really saving work. I was able to. What I did is I basically would just record what I was making, and that would be it.
And it's done. You can't add to it. Or,
I turn off the machine, and it would just go back to factory settings. So again, like I'm just pretty slow. I've been slow, kind of, into getting into like the real technological age.
Well, there's a lot to take into, right? For that, like, I mean, you got to master all these different.
It's true,
disciplines.
And at the same time, I'm doing all that, but I was like avoiding so much. I was avoiding the computer. I was avoiding like, you know, phone, and so now I have that stuff. So now I'm using Instagram. Now I've got SoundCloud set up. I've got Bandcamp. You know, so I'm integrating myself into a culture that.
Well, I think that's why you seem to be more prominent everywhere, because like, oh shit, all of a sudden
for sure
you're there, right? And your stuff is kind of getting out there because people are sharing it and everything, and it's the whole way that social media works.
Yeah, it's opened me really up to it, man.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like big time. It's made me realize, like, wow, like there's and really it's like the world. It's a small world, and you know, like, and sure, I'm making music in Winnipeg, and I'm inspired by Winnipeg music, but I'm also inspired by all this stuff around the world, and it's so neat to like, you know, connect with that on that level. It's so unique, man.
So during that time before you had all this, and it sounds like you were doing a lot of work. Like, I mean,
for sure.
How much of that is actual stuff that you've kept and that you've released, or do you have like a big archive of stuff that just has never seen the light of day?
Yeah, I have everything saved, man.
Cool.
Yeah, like everything I do is saved and archived, if possible.
Okay.
You know.
How do you choose what to release then?
Well, I mean, I kind of just choose what I release based on just what feels right. Usually it takes me about like say like stuff that is coming out now, I might have produced like a year ago.
Okay.
People don't really know that. Tito.
It's okay. It's all right.
A lot of people don't know that because they might just be hearing this stuff for the first time, or friends of mine that are real close to me might recognize stuff that they heard at one point.
Sure. Yeah.
But like, it's like I was so productive that there's hundreds of beats. Like literally since I first started working at the Argyle space.
Okay.
I've made close to 600 beats. Like that's just, I know that because I have everything archived in a book. I have everything down, and And it's like, yeah, so it's like basically, I'm at 573.
Wow. And you keep track of all the details about like where it's where you have saved and everything. So
Yeah, well, basically, I keep them in this list here so that I know the order of what I did them in.
Okay.
So, and what I end up doing is I end up usually making tapes for myself of the last, once I have enough to kind of fill a 90-minute
Sure,
tape,
yeah.
I'll basically just kind of make a tape, and then I'm able to go through the tape, and yeah, I listen to the tapes on my own, and just kind of like, it just helps me gain new perspective of
Sure, it could be something you recorded 3 years ago, right?
But and that's what exactly. So I'll go through stuff that I recorded last year, or I'll listen to these tapes. I'll listen to the tapes throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
And slowly, the jams that resonate the most with me, I know, like, okay, this is gonna go on this. This is gonna go on this. This track, I'm gonna shoot it by this guy because and I just kind of like, and I kind of and because they're all valuable to me.
Yeah.
At first. They're all just little kind of like magical moments that
Right.
I have. So they're all just kind of, my babies.
Well, it's cool that you have it so well documented too, because I mean, a lot of people do the same thing as you do, but they just it's a tape somewhere in this box full of stuff,
sure.
right? You're never gonna find it again the
For
exact
sure.
moment you want.
No, yeah, that's what all this stuff is, man. It's just like all the newer stuff that I kind of it might sound weird listening to your own stuff all the time, but it just helps me kind of like weed out the stuff that I feel after a while, because like I said, they're all valuable to me at first, so it's hard for me to really know. It's hard for me to really pick the strong work from the mediocre work.
Like it needs time for you to kind of absorb it, and
I need time to just kind of sit back and really recognize, like, whoa, like there's something really here that and then sometimes too, I'll have a guy like Gabe come through and we'll just go through tapes, or I'll just show him the last batch of stuff, and he'll choose some stuff that really resonates with him, and sometimes that's the stuff that I'm not connected with at all. But
right?
I'm like,
You just
really?
you kept
that's
it,
the way you're feeling. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And,
Cool.
But that's the magic, and that's what happened with Feta, man. Like, I got beats that I've gave to guys multiple times. I got beats that I've been like, yo, this is for this guy for sure.
Yeah.
I give it to him.
Not into it.
Not into it.
Yeah.
And then I run it by another guy. Not into it. Run it by another guy. Not into it. And then somebody grabs it, and by that point, I'm just like, really? Like, what are you seeing here? Because I
Because it's the first five guys. Yeah.
But then it turns into something really cool, and so you never know, man. So I've gotten into a formula where I can just kind of go through old stuff like pretty easy with either the tapes, or now I have everything kind of on my phone, so we can just kind of go through tracks real quick.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I guess that's another convenience to the phone, aside from the whole social thing, right?
Oh, that one thing that has allowed me to share music with others is integrating into the digital world.
Yeah.
Because before that, like, I'd be like, yo, Egg, you got a tape deck?
Yeah.
If he's like, no, I'd be like, okay, well, you got to come over and listen to
You're right,
beats or
because
something,
you can't get him the file of it.
Yeah, it was definitely a different thing. And then that's local. So think about me now. I'm able to work. I'm working with some other guys out of town.
Yeah.
That would have never happened.
No, unless they happen to have a tape deck and you send it to the mail and all. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, and never mind that. How would I even connect with these guys?
Yeah, how would they have heard of you in the first place? Right? Yeah.
Like now, I'm able to go online, and I'm online, and I'm connecting with a community that, like, I'm just researching new music and finding.
Yeah, and there's so much of it out there. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
It is crazy, man.
Well, I guess that's the benefit too of being someone who has produced and produces a lot of content. I mean, you have a lot of beats, obviously, and there's a lot of people who do completely different styles. Who something that you maybe abandoned 2 years ago might actually be perfect for some guy in Wisconsin or whatever that you never heard of, and it turns out this is an exact fit, right?
For sure. There's been some real little kind of neat little kind of connections, and then that's another thing when some guys hit me up for stuff, and usually they're guys that maybe I might not really be too familiar with their work, or just they're just hitting me up for beats, whatever. I'll just be like, yeah, here, just go through these, whatever, and then the things that they make out of it, sometimes it's just kind of really, it's wild.
Yeah, it's like not what you expected it would be.
Yeah,
right?
not what I expected, and sometimes way better than I would have expected.
That's cool.
Sometimes it's the opposite, but.
Right, of course, yeah. Well, you can't. You're not always gonna get a winner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess on the topic of tapes, though, you started the tape label. Is that just you running that, or are there other people involved?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Fabulous Itch cassette company.
Okay.
It's basically, I started it just because I wanted to just not always be pushing the tapes on like my own media,
right.
Have something where I could, and also I wanted something where I could kind of invite the culture and the community that I'm a part of more to be involved with.
Okay.
So, yeah, like Fourth Quarter Records and 3P.
Yeah, they have the label part and then the group part, yeah.
Yeah, so we can kind of do things in cahoots and say with FC Coconut too, and then the Ralphie Reese stuff. Like,
right.
I knew I wanted to release some Ralphie Reese tapes, who's an MC from Philadelphia that I do work with.
Right, and is that an internet connection you made?
That is an internet connection
cool,
I made, yeah. I made that connection through a producer that he was working with named Professor 950, who, again, I just met on Instagram.
Okay.
But I just knew right away that I related to his work and his little world that he's into.
Yeah.
This guy's in his own little world, and it's just a beautiful thing, and he's a real positive guy, and I just really connected with him. And he, out of nowhere, just was like, dropped this record called Darth Vader, and I like, he kept kind of promoting it a bit, and I eventually just checked it out, and it just spoke to me. I was
cool.
like, yo, this is it.
Cool. So with the tapes, I mean, as someone who still listens to tapes and never really stopped, I'm always happy to see new tape labels.
Cool.
Because there's a bunch of them. I mean, Dub Ditch is obviously a big one, and there's like a few other ones too that seem to keep popping up, which is awesome. But
sure.
Have you had any difficulties with people who don't have tapes and want to get involved, or did they just go to the digital options and skip the tape entirely?
Yeah, well, I guess that's one thing with the tape label is I set it up as a Bandcamp page, so
right, so they can just do it there.
So anybody that's not just buying tapes directly from me locally, or even if you buy tape from me locally, I'll make sure that you get the digital copy.
Yeah.
But it seems like that hasn't been really too much of an issue. I've
Well,
had
it's
maybe
good.
a few people maybe ask me like personally, like, oh, you got to do CDs and this or that,
Yeah.
But it seems like overall, like, there is a rise in the tape culture.
There is, yeah, which is it's unexpectedly, but yeah, it's kind of cool, yeah.
It is kind of neat. So I feel it's all the right time,
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. I often wonder because, like, I mean, I know in some genres, I mean, especially like punk and metal and stuff, tapes never really went away, right?
Right.
And other things, it's maybe a little bit more dicey as far as whether the listeners are actually going to have a tape deck. But
for sure.
But I think that there's so much is blended now, almost too, right? That punk and hip hop and everything else is all sort of meshed into one thing.
Absolutely. That's one thing I'm starting to kind of get. I'm starting to play with in my mind is I want to just kind of get involved more with the punk culture here.
Yeah.
And just kind of integrate more of a beat crossover culture with it because I feel like we're all listening to the same stuff too anyway. Like, or if anything, it's like I feel like there's a lot of crossover respect that can just come across, and we can all educate each other about really cool shit.
Well, it's a lot of the same background too. Like, I mean, just the type of progression and stuff, and like the using the platform to get out a message which is not that different depending on who you listen to, obviously. But
for sure,
punk and hip hop can totally you can see the
for sure.
Yeah,
and that's totally what I feel like. I'm feeling like in some of the direction that I'm taking some of the music, it's like some of it's kind of maybe not so aggressive, but I just got a kind of a vibe that I feel like I'm just kind of there's just something that I feel like it would fit in with a punk culture.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that there's kind of room on both sides to experiment with that too, right? Because
sure.
It's very easy to be just a punk band or just a rapper, but when it becomes really interesting is when you start bringing new things into it. So
for sure, I feel like that's something I want to see start happening more. Right now. Some cool crossover like that.
For sure, yeah.
I think we're ready for it, man. I think people are all down for it,
Well, I think it almost, like, at times Winnipeg kind of flirts with it a bit, and then it just sort of backs away a little bit, but a lot of people come close to doing that, and it's just, especially with shows, like, I mean, I know, when I was in punk bands in the 90s and stuff, there'd be like shows would be a punk band, a folk singer opening, a metal band, a ska band, whatever. And then it seemed like for a while that wasn't happening anymore. Now it seems like it's kind of getting back to that where it's people from all different genres are kind of playing shows together, and that's how you're going to get that stuff, I think.
For sure. I love that, man.
Yeah,
I want to see that
cool.
happen. I want to see more of that. I want to be involved in some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's super cool to
I'm
see.
going to try to get some of that going for sure.
Do you so is the label strictly going to be for your releases, or are you going to try and get other people's releases that you haven't been
So yeah,
involved
I've got some other stuff going on. Like I did. So yeah, obviously it started out just as kind of my stuff, and then stuff I was directly associated with.
Mm-hmm.
But then we did like the 3-peat tape, and then we did the. Well, I guess we did the 3-peat tape, and then we did the BBS tape.
Right. Yeah.
Which is just kind of in cahoots with Fourth Quarter, and then we just did the FC Coconut tapes, both
Okay.
of those, the Slow Poke, and Coconut Island. Those are two new FC Coconut tapes that he put out. SP404 beats, really cool tapes, jazzy,
Cool.
boom bap kind of style hip hop stuff. So yeah, I would definitely want to kind of like do some stuff that isn't just me on that label for sure.
That's cool. And how many tapes do you actually have out now under the Crabskull name? Because there's a bunch, right? Like
There is quite a few, man. There's probably four or five, like before I started doing kind of stuff like that I've been doing in the last 5 years. So in the last 5 years, I've probably put out a good handful of tapes. I'm not even sure really how many numbers. But most of the stuff is up on the Bandcamp pages, and then I got a bunch of new stuff that's coming out right away. Yeah.
Do you do the old stuff, for example?
Yeah.
Once it's done on tape, do you ever reprint them or anything?
Yeah,
or
I just did reprint the Set the Controls from the Heart of the Sun.
Okay, cool.
That's the like Pink Floyd kind of loops and stuff. I just did another batch of 50 of those.
Cool.
I'd sold out of those maybe months ago. So I just thought again, just having kind of the tape page up. I just kind of wanted to have everything kind of available. So nice to have a bit of backstock,
Oh, definitely, that's cool. Yeah. That's awesome.
And then some stuff is going to be limited. Like there's a bunch of like this new batch of stuff that I'm putting out right now. I'm calling it Dub Ritual.
Okay.
It's kind of a return back to an earlier kind of more I want to say dub sound, but it's not like, I'm not talking reggae dub.
Yeah.
Just more of a kind of scoring type beat, break beat, kind of like drum bass type sound.
Okay.
But it's like it's all boom bap hip hop, and it's all sample based stuff. But it's just kind of moving back into this territory. I have this tape I did called Jovian Black Opera.
Okay.
I put that out in 2009 on Prairie Fire tapes.
Right. Okay. That's what I remember seeing it before for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is kind of a return to that stuff. And that tape, believe it or not, is stuff that I recorded in Camor in 2003.
Wow.
So
that was 5 or 6 years after you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd come back and Chris Jakes, was like, I knew he was doing the label, and I just kind of was like, yo, check out some of these tapes, and I flip him a tape of that, and he was into it. But that stuff was from 5 years prior to that or whatever.
Cool.
But I'm kind of coming back to that sound, and a lot of it has to just do with like just working on hip hop for the last 3 years, and it's very like hip hop is very like most hip hop is very formulaic.
Sure. Yeah.
So. And don't get me wrong, I love it. I love hip hop, and I love it how it's just predictable. And I love the mixes when it's like, just locked, and it's like 4 bars here, bang, intro, verse, chorus. But
doesn't really any surprises, right? You
kind of know
lyrically
what's coming.
maybe, but the structure of it.
The guy isn't just gonna spit 15 bars.
Yeah,
it's gonna be 16. It's always gonna.
And then
be
it'll go to the hook, and then
it's It's always this. There's this kind of formula. With it. And I mean that's just the way it is. It's kind of this. That's the math of like American hip hop, essentially.
Totally.
one thing with the Jovian Black Opera stuff, when I was doing that in Canmore, it was more loose. It felt more like, you know, I could sculpt 10-minute jams.
Okay, it's almost like free jazzy.
And just like you're able to just kind of get more, and then adding the dubby element into it. What I mean by that is just like adding the effects, the live echo and like reverb. You're just able to sculpt an atmosphere out of something, and just take it to the X-ray place. You know, take it to a different dimension that you can extend, say, a 3-minute jam into a 10-minute jam.
Well, I think that's the best thing about dub in general, though, right? I mean, like, even with I know you're not talking about dub reggae, but I find a lot of people I know who aren't into reggae, their problem with it is that they think it's too formulaic, it's too simple, it's too repetitive, but then you can play them something that will just completely destroy that because it's 2 chords but just blown out to the moon.
For sure.
And it just, people get like, where did this come from? Like, how did they do that, right? So,
how is this so abstract?
Yeah.
It's like, it's all there. It's just, you just gotta have the mind to just have the vision and open it up a bit, you know?
Yeah.
So that's I'm just starting to, so lately that's what I've been doing with my music. I'm just kind of like opening that door again and allowing myself to kind of break away from the 8 bars, 16 bars of this, 8 bars of this, 16 bars of this, out, you know? It's like, and I love that, you know, but I'll always want to work with MCs and break it down however they want, you know? Like however they see it fit, I want to do that. But yeah, I love getting into the dub because you can kind of get more abstract and you're able to like extend things, and I feel like get into more of the zone with a track, you know?
Well, you can allow the track to breathe out as much as it wants to, as much as it needs to, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I like to like have an intro that's like 2 or 3 minutes before even the beat drops, and you're just like, by the time the beat drops, it's like, whoa, it's a experience that I'm having, like mixing the beat, you know? And so these tapes are basically just those type of sessions. They're all not done on the computer, they're all done right off my gear, recorded to tape, and then I literally duplicate them.
Cool.
So it's kind of just more of a live process that I'm doing, and those tapes are going to be super limited. I'm talking like 10, 15 copies each, and then I'm not going to dub those ever again.
Cool. Are they going online too, or are they just going to be strictly...
Most of those aren't going online.
Okay.
I'm going to start introducing some because I want people to be aware of what I'm doing with it.
Right.
And just so I'll probably add some clips of you know, I'll probably add clips of them all, you know, at some point. And then there'll be a few ones that I'll put up the full jams if they're the ones I'm really into.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing with these type of sessions, they're more raw, they're more open to mistakes, they're more open to like just that real. It's just they're real, you know. So there are some, there's times where the effects, you know, like things are gonna get saturated or overdriven, and I love it. I love how it's raw like that, and it's just a live thing. And
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
because that's almost the opposite of what a lot of people think of when they're listening to someone who does hip hop beats, right? Because they're used to the formulaic, because they're used to everything being super precise and all that. Yeah,
for sure.
That's cool.
And I got into that. Like the last few mixes I've done on the computer.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've learned to just kind of like fine tune everything, and you know, you're sculpting this experience, but you're able to just wake up every day and add more to it or fix it up.
For sure, yeah.
Whereas these tapes, it's like everything you're hearing happened during that session, and I basically every effect is live, and it's basically live, you know.
That's cool.
And there's no computer, so
that's awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
That should be interesting to hear for sure.
Yeah.
Do you did you grow up, like, I mean, when you were younger, did you listen to a lot of the local hip hop stuff? Did you get into that, like in the kind of iconic Winnipeg rap stuff, or is this fascination with the local hip hop scene fairly recent?
I would say it's fairly recent. I was always aware of local hip hop, and it's like particularly like I would say Peanuts and Corn.
Yeah,
right?
for sure, yeah.
And you know, and all the other crews, you know, working at the music trader, working at the music stores, I was always aware of what was going on, but I wasn't. It's not that I wasn't a fan of it.
Yeah.
I just wasn't. I didn't know. I wasn't a part of it. I wasn't a part of that culture, and I didn't really know much about it. You know, I was obviously aware of the local guys.
Yeah, because some of them were high profile enough that you can't miss them, right? But,
For sure.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really listening to a lot of that stuff until, you know, more of my later years at the store, or when I kind of started to kind of like get to actually know those guys, like Pip Skid and like Honeycut, and like get to know them, and then I'm listening to their music in a different light because you know, I'm aware of who these cats are a little bit, you know. And
I guess you have the background of making beats yourself too, of understanding kind of what the deal is behind, you know, how they made those, or trying to figure out how they made them. I guess.
For sure, yeah. McEnroe kind of. There was a point where I got kind of like working at Music Trader where I just kind of like wanted to really hear all this stuff, and he always talking to me about him. No, you got to check him out. And so I did. I went through and checked out his stuff, and it was cool. You know, they definitely did their thing, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know, and who else was doing their thing like that? You know,
they were to that level, and that many people. Yeah, they really had the whole.
You know, it was cool. Yeah, they were putting out records. They had the the label, and they were doing.
Yeah.
They were touring. They were like, they were making moves, man.
Well, that's a good example, maybe, of in McEnroe as a producer. I feel like I was really into that stuff. I guess early 2000s, whatever, that started really coming out. And one thing I liked about it a lot was that you could listen to Gruff album, you could listen to Fermented Reptile, you could listen to Pipskid, Yai, whoever, and it's a McEnroe beat. Like, you can just, there's something very, very distinctive about McEnroe's beats, regardless of who it was for. It's like, oh, that's obviously a McEnroe beat, right? Do you feel that you have something, like a sound to your stuff that is identifiable as Crabskull? And do you think people either already or will start to kind of pick up and recognize, like, is there a tell, I guess, in your beats that tells us?
I would say certain joints for sure, you know, and I guess it depends. I've been playing around with some different sounds. I've been playing around with definitely more, you know, I've played with the soul stuff, and I've played with some different stuff, you know, the more ambient, electronic kind of sounds and stuff. So I would think there's something coming through with my stuff. You know, I know that my sounds, I know that all my drums and all my stuff that I do, it's like all from records. It's all into the MPC. So when you're hearing Crabskull, you're hearing records.
Okay.
And that's one thing that I know when I hear other people's stuff, I'm not always hearing. And I know that's what I am not hearing. I know I'm not hearing records.
Right.
I know I'm hearing digital files, and it's just a different thing, you know? So I know that when I hear my music, some people might say, oh, you need to kind of like beef it up or this or that, or, you know? But it's like, that's just the kind of edge that is my stuff, you know? And as I evolve and using more technology, things are getting better. Like, I'm learning how to kind of like make my sound just sound, you know, better, you know? As anyone would, you know? But it's always going to have that, you know, it's always going to sound like records.
Yeah.
You know, just going through into the machine, and I'm not doing much to process them. You know, I'm learning little tricks here and there, like in the machine. I'm just kind of like getting the sounds I want, but really it's like, it's all about the sounds off the record and how I get them in that machine. That's what you're hearing, you know? Okay. Yeah.
How do you, I mean, you get a lot of records here, obviously, but what are you looking for as far as samples? Like, do you sit and listen to a record and all of a sudden something just jumps out at you, or are you specifically listening because you're trying to find stuff? Like,
it's both. Yeah. It's both, you know? Like, basically, I can tell you this, that there's something on every record.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That I can use, and I feel like I'm a fortunate person in that way, because I feel like I can find gold on anything, man.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and really, if it really comes down to it, and you start kind of going through. Yeah, like you just open the doors, and I know that I'm fortunate that I can do that. I'm fortunate that I can like take a crappy record and just really comb through it, and my imagination knows there's no limit with some of these sounds. So it's like sometimes, and sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. But I feel like I'll go through records knowing, there's stuff on here, you know, like, because I'll buy records, you know, based off knowing what's on there.
Right.
You know,
of course, yeah.
And I do love, like, I love a lot of like pioneer electronic stuff, you know, so electronic records from the 50s and you know, 60s, like anything like that. I'll listen to those records from start to end and like thoroughly enjoy. And obviously every moment of those records
is usable.
Yeah,
totally, yeah.
And then there's other stuff where it's just like I've been doing a lot of dollar bin digging lately, because just
some weird stuff in there.
Well, and because I'm not into buying like $50, $100 soul records anymore. Or like, you know, don't get me wrong, there's still records that I'm like loving and stuff like that, but I just feel like the market has just changed so much.
It's weird, yeah.
You know?
It's weird.
And I'll always love records, and there'll always be certain things that I will want, you know, and maybe the odd time I'll pay like a lot of money for, but I'm not that dude, man.
Yeah.
I definitely will I'll go to the dollar bin, and I'll go through and scoop a nice batch of stuff and bring it home and like just go through, and that's always what this stuff is.
Yeah.
That's sitting around, you know, it's just stuff that I can kind of go through, and I'll always find stuff on I'll find stuff on everything, man.
Cool. Yeah, it's I mean, are all of these records that you've kind of gone through and found something on, or are some of them just strictly listening?
Most of them are records I've gone through, but no, a lot of them, like, because again, a lot of it's with this machine. The way I've been working on this machine is like, there's a lot of stuff I haven't even gone through on here. There's a lot of work in there, man. Yeah. I could make beats forever with just the records I have.
Oh yeah, you got
not even buying a new record ever, you know, like. And I don't even mean that I have a big collection. I don't mean it that way. I just mean like, you can give me half of what I have, and like,
right.
It's like this.
Well, even with 5 records, you could make a lot of stuff out of that.
For sure.
Just by manipulating it and
For
taking it
sure.
apart.
Yeah, and the more you kind of like open up different doors with, because everybody does production in their own way, but the more you kind of pick up on other people's formulas, and the more you kind of like stay open to different things that you normally wouldn't do, then you know the sky's the limit, because you can take a sample and you can chop it, you can micro chop it, you could loop things, you can layer that. Like sometimes I'll make beats and like the original sample I'll just pull out to see what it sounds like, and I realize the whole beat sounds better without that, so I'll like abandon the whole original idea. It's like you're just throwing out the skeleton of this whole thing, and it's like
and adding something new to what you took out of
and it's like and that's one thing I love about the MPC 4000 is that there's a lot of possibility for surprise.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and so like a lot of the beats that I make are just, it's a real magic to me, because it's like, it's not what I went for, and it's like, it just kind of like happened, and it's like a real neat little zone that I kind of can find myself in. That is cool, night.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that's what I love, man. For me, I just like getting lost in it every time, and then I don't really even know what I'll literally wake up the next day and be like, fuck, what did I even do?
How did you do that? Yeah, yeah.
And I'll just have to go through the tapes.
Oh, cool.
Usually, yeah, and just kind of listen and be like, oh, yeah, that, you know? Yeah, it's interesting.
How does that affect your just general music listening? Like, I mean, will you ever sit down with a record and want to just not even think about it, but just absorb it? And do you find yourself, like, picking out samples and things from that?
It's hard, man.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to listen to a record and not have that perspective of, you know?
Yeah, I should use that.
I could use that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be detrimental to, like, when I'm watching movies with my girlfriend.
Yeah. Soundtrack?
Oh, I'm just watching movies. Okay. I'm always just like, oh my god, okay, stop. You know, I gotta hook up my machine, make sure I get this little sample. And my girlfriend's like, oh man, like every 10 minutes we're stopping this movie so we can take a sound. So yeah, I have to sometimes just like stop doing that. You know,
you need to go somewhere else out of the building and yeah.
Or I just have to be like, just like, hey, I'm not sampling. We're just watching this movie. I'm not gonna stop the movie, you know, for
yeah. Just gonna take notes, just have a secret notepad and write down the time.
So funny.
That's cool.
We have many cases bombs where a body has been found, pieces of bone, and we managed to get it.
No, but that's not surprising. I find that, like, I don't make beats, but I find that over the years, the more music I listen to of whatever genres, like, I end up spotting samples that I heard years earlier on something else.
For sure.
And I can't not do that now. Like, now that I've started doing it, something will just pop up, like, and I'll be ignoring the song because I'm trying to think of what sampled it, and it's irritating because it's like, I want to sit and enjoy this, but I recognize that one clip, and it's like, well, what is this from? I know what this is from.
For sure.
My wife will be like, stop. Just listen to the song, shut up.
No, it's a part of, it's if you grew up listening to hip-hop, it's a symptom of that. You know?
I think so, yeah.
And I think everybody that really, like, loves hip-hop and loves music and kind of pick that stuff out, it's kind of just this little fascinating experience where you can kind of make those connections, and I've always kind of related to them to, like, these, like, planetary conjunctions or
Okay.
something. Because it's like these eclipses just happen when you're not expecting it, and it's like, whoa, what's happening right now? It's like, because it is a weird feeling.
It is, yeah.
When you hear a sample that you've heard, and it's like...
And you can't place it though, right?
And it just rolls by in the song, and you're like, whoa!
Yeah.
Like, what just happened right there? It's like, you don't even know what happened there for a second. You're like, whoa, oh yeah, that was you somewhere.
Because sometimes it'll be just like a little guitar riff or something, right? And then just for the rest of the song, you can't.
Yeah, your mind is like kind of blown for a second. You're like, whoa, what just happened there? I was like, it was like the Great Eclipse,
right? Yeah,
or something.
Well, I guess that's probably similar the other way around to picking out samples you want to use too, right? Because it's just something
for sure. And that's the thing when you hear, I'll hear sounds and I'm like, oh, like that's like, you just know that's like right now that's going in the machine. That's a loop on its own. I just want to hear, And then sometimes, it's like you'll hear things that you're like, oh man, that must have been sampled. And you'll look it up and sure enough, it's like a
sampled 300 times, but
for sure. And then you're like, oh yeah, I've heard that. Okay,
yeah.
Things that your brain kind of recognizes or just as cool, but maybe you just haven't. I haven't really realized. Oh, that's like a Pete Rock thing. Oh, I've heard that.
Right. Yeah.
Of course.
Do you often try to avoid stuff that might be already well known in order to find not for that not to happen, right? Not to all of a sudden discover something that's already been discovered by 8 other people?
Yeah, I feel like my formula is kind of... The way that I do things now, I feel like I've kind of gotten away from that.
Okay.
I'm not just kind of going through Curtis Mayfield records to sample anymore. Like, I'm kind of... I'm going through weird things that nobody knows, or I'm just... I've got my own... I've been hunting out records so much, and I got friends that are, like, wizards with it.
Yeah.
That I've just kind of educated myself with the things that I like, and I've learned a lot from them. So you know how it is when you're buying records. It's like you're looking at the cover, you're looking at the year, you're looking at where it was made, what kind of instruments are on it. And then if you know any of the producers or if you know any of the drummers, and then it's all just it all just kind of adds into like something. And I find that stuff in the dollar bin. I find you don't find like the Curtis Mayfield record, but you find maybe something on Buddha. You might maybe find something with like some of these drummers, or you find things that maybe are lesser known, but that are going to have some neat arrangements. You're going to have some neat production. For sure. Going to have some. Not everyone's a winner, but you got to just do the digging and. But
spending $40 on $40 bin records versus one new record and you could have a year worth of content out of that 40.
No, for sure. Yeah. That's where I'm at lately, man. I'll hit the dollar bins and just feel like I can come out rich.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think it's almost like obviously a lot of people still do it how you say how you do it, but I think it's almost like a lost art for a lot of younger kids coming up because the idea of looking at the back of a record and finding a producer, if they're doing everything digitally, that's not even there. So they're not even going to know. It's like, oh, there's a dollar bin record. I don't know what this is. For sure. Right? I'm not going to bother. I'm going to go get whatever file from some guy.
For sure.
Because it's just not something you think of if you're only used to everything on Spotify or whatever. That the idea of this guy produced this. I know him from this, and this, so it's going to be great.
It's a different world.
Yeah, it's weird.
You're right. It is a different world, man. It's like the access that we have to, and I've been using the computer lately, not to sample, but just in the last couple of years, I've just been integrating into it. So I've been learning, I'm learning about new music, and so I can see how, with the digital world, it's like you have access to so much stuff. And
everything, pretty much.
Everything.
Yeah.
So if you can educate yourself about stuff that, kids are educating themselves about stuff that I won't even ever find out about for maybe another 10 years. Yeah. Unless I go on there and really dig into it. But I'm not really doing that, I'm talking to homies that are into records, and they're slowly still showing me stuff that I'm like, holy fuck, and they're like, you don't know this? And I'm like, well, no, I'm not really online looking for that stuff. Yeah. I'd rather just dig for dollar records and I'd rather have a homie tell me about something like that and hear it face to face in his crib.
Absolutely, yeah.
And be blown away. And then I can come home and search it up and realize, holy shit, wow, I just kind of thrive off those connections. So, I definitely know that though there's a lot of dudes that are they're right on the internet and they're educating themselves. Man, there's a kid, Young Hayachi. You ever heard of this?
No,
kid?
I haven't. No.
His name is Sam.
Okay.
He's a beat producer that I met working at Trader.
Okay.
He used to
Is
come
he local?
in. He's local.
Yeah.
He used to come in with his dad. His dad's like a big record head.
Okay.
And a really nice guy. So it was always just a pleasure to deal with.
Yeah,
him.
just talk to him.
And Sam would come in. This would have been 10 years ago. He would have been under 10 years old.
Oh wow!
But I could tell he was into music.
Yeah.
And at the time,
more than the average 10-year-old.
Oh yeah, he was buying Mad Lib records. He was but at the same time he was in the dollar bin buying weird little things.
Yeah.
And I remember just saying, like, yo, like, you're buying a Madlib record, but you're buying a dollar bin, you know, whatever, Donna Summer record.
Yeah, yeah.
What are you up to, you know, here? And I said to him, I said, are you loop digging, man? And he was like, yeah.
That's awesome.
And I was like, you making beats? And he was like, not yet, but, you know, this or that.
Yeah, that's cool.
And anyway, so the homie is now making beats, you know? He's now...
Now what, 20
He's
or
a
something?
teenager, yeah. He's a young adult, and he's a huge Pete Rock fan.
Okay.
And the kid grew up in the age of the internet. So what I mean by that is, like, the kid educated himself through the internet.
Right.
You know? He told me none of his friends listen to Pete Rock.
No, I wouldn't.
None of his
yeah.
friends listen to Jay Dilla. He's the only one. So I'm like, well, how do you know about all this stuff? And it's just like, you
Yeah.
know, it's all just sitting at home and doing all this research. But the kid knows way more about Pete Rock or Jay Dilla than I probably ever will.
Right.
You know?
Because he
Like,
sat there and absorbed it all, yeah.
Yeah, he knows it all inside and out. Like, and he's like, he knows samples and knows so much stuff. He'll go through my records and be like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And he's educating me, and he's like, you don't know that, man? And I'm like, no, man. Like, wow, you know?
That's cool,
and,
yeah.
and but he's real good at what he does, man. And it's a real beautiful thing. Tito,
Cats are
they're hungry.
killing each other here.
But yeah, it's like it's a neat thing to see, because it's
Yeah.
a different generation, and I know I don't relate to that, but it's equally great to see that passion, you know, explored and, you know, developed.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of feel the same, not knowing that kid or anything, but
Mm-hmm.
like about. I feel like a lot of the stuff, especially with hip hop, the younger generation's into, it's over my head. Like, I mean, I listen to a lot of rap. Most of my stuff's from the '90s, like, honestly. And then there's a lot of Canadian early 2000s stuff, and then it kind of drops off.
For sure.
And I just sort of stick in my, you know, I'm going to put on a Wu-Tang record over pretty much anything that came out in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And so, especially
I
even
can
doing the
relate
show,
to that.
I interview people who are, like, you know, at 19 and they're doing hip hop, and they play me their stuff, and I don't get it.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to know what they're doing, because it's like, to them it makes complete sense, and to them it's their own thing. And I'm like, you know, I'm in my mid-30s now. I'm too old. It's like I've passed it. I can't get into it. But something is gonna, one day I'm gonna hear one of those things, and it's just gonna click. And I'll be 50, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, this is what this is. I finally figured out why this makes sense. Like,
No, I can relate, man. I can relate big time. You know, it's definitely a sound that's kind of, you know, I wouldn't say it's like going over my head. I just feel like it's a sound, because I was really getting into Southern production. For a
yeah,
while.
okay, yeah.
And
That like minimalist kind of stuff.
just coming out of like the Miami bass stuff into just this like slower kind of like the screwed and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and just like the 808 stuff, like, and just the synth production, and I don't know, I was just getting into all of it for a while. It just kind of like, it just went pop, you know.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of feel like maybe once that stuff kind of dies down, I'll kind of be able to like maybe digest it with like a bit more like. But yeah, I think I'm just old, too old.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, every time I catch myself just saying what I'm just saying, I'm just like, yeah, I'm just too old. Man.
Yeah.
That stuff is just, yeah, I'm just like, I'm the same way as you. I grew up with Wu-Tang and like all this old stuff, and like that's the stuff that I love, and that's the stuff that I'm kind of coming back to now with more of a passion, and I just like feel like, yeah, this is it for me,
Yeah.
you know? Like, I love this stuff.
Well, yeah, think about it too. And some of these kids, like, I mean, the kids who are like 18, 19, they're closer in age to my kids than they are to me. And so, like, what's supposed to happen is your kids are supposed to hate your music, and they're supposed to come up with, like, punk rock is basically like a reaction to their dad's music, right?
You're right.
So whatever my kids, when they're teenagers, are going to listen to, I'm going to hate because I won't understand it. And it's probably going to be really cool, but I'm just, you know, I'm that guy. I'm going to be the old dad who doesn't get it, right? So
It's a good attitude to have.
yeah.
And it's probably so accurate, you know, because that's rock and roll, man.
Yeah, it is. Well,
You know?
that's rock and roll in the first place, right?
Yeah.
It's a reaction to the shitty crooner music, which was a reaction to something even shittier. You know, like, I mean,
For
shitty
sure.
in the sense of the
No.
generation thinks yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I know I see it because when I'll play kids my stuff, and it's like, oh, that's that like 90s boom bap.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
It's like, yeah. But it's like, I get it. You know, they're just like, that's fucking dad rock.
Yeah, for sure. Well, a perfect example of that is, like, I mean, I work with people, like, in my day job who are pretty wide age range, right? Just because most day jobs are like that.
Yeah.
And when Chris Cornell died, me and another guy who was around my age, we were, like, just really bummed out. We were talking about how great Soundgarden was, and we were, like, sharing all these stories about listening to these old tapes and stuff.
Yeah.
And these kids in their, not kids, but, like, early to mid-20s, they didn't even know who he was. They had never heard Soundgarden. They knew it was some kind of classic rock band. And it was just such a weird... But it's not supposed to work, right?
For sure. We're getting to that age, man.
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange.
Yeah, I know you're right.
But, you know, it's I think there's probably a lot of really cool stuff happening that
Absolutely.
it's just not for me. Like
there is, yeah, and I know there is because I got friends that are really into that stuff, and that, you know, so when I'm hanging out with them, they're playing me stuff, and sure, sometimes I'm just like, but when I just really kind of put down my defense about it all and just kind of like stay open to it, I see it's like, yeah, okay, this is kind of cool. It's, you know, I just see where maybe I don't feel like there's longevity in it, like some of the stuff that I would love.
Yeah.
But that's not for me to say.
Maybe maybe last longer.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Like, who knows, you know?
Yeah.
So, I'm sure that's what our parents would have said too.
Oh, for sure.
Hip hop never gonna fucking last, or punk rock, fuck, that's just garbage over tomorrow. But no, man, it ain't, you know, like.
And it just goes on and on and on, and the new generations turn into their new thing and stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird. I don't know. Like, I think you're right about the defenses going, though. For sure. I hear that stuff and I'm like, oh, this is shit. My stuff is better, right?
Yeah.
Like, my rap collection is way better than this garbage, but it's like, it's not. It's
like
just
I have
different.
I have this, like, it's like I have this, like, automatic, like, just...
Yeah, like, you're ruining my thing.
Resentment about it, you know? But I gotta stop that. And you know what? And I am pretty good about it, like, but, like, in terms of just, you know, working, say, with a community, say, like, I want to work with Winnipeg artists, and I don't want to be that guy that's like just a bummer, you know. I want to be open to everything, and and just be open to everything, and just, it doesn't matter, man. If you're making something and you're passionate about it, just do it, you know.
Yeah.
It'll lead to better stuff anyway, like, you know, or, you know, it'll just lead to you making real art, you know, no matter what. So.
For sure, yeah, and I think that's what I do respect about that stuff, even if I don't get it. Is that it's real, genuine art, and it's their expression of whatever it is that they're expressing, and
for sure
I can't shit on that ever, because that's what me being in punk bands when I was a kid was. That's what it's what you're doing. That's what everyone's doing. So I don't know.
You're right.
That's what the podcast is basically. It's just DIY, putting something out there, and
for sure. Yeah, as long as they're doing something, you know.
Yeah, it's like you can't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe that's a good thing. If I feel like if you get past 35 and you're hearing what the youth are doing in it, and you think, fuck, this is whack.
Yeah.
Maybe that's perfect.
I think it is. Yeah.
Like maybe that's exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Because if they were just doing what some 35-year-old thinks is cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
When I was 18, I don't think the bands I was in, I expected 35-year-olds to like. I would have been weirded out if they did, right?
Yeah, so, you're right. Yeah. So I guess there's like something kind of fly about making music that adults just despise.
Well, it's a different world though now because of the internet, because everyone has access to everything. Now people in our age group are hearing that stuff, whereas before it would just not even be on the radar, right?
You're right.
So now there's more kind of criticism, I think, almost to the younger people, because it's like, oh, what is this garbage you're putting out? Whereas before, you know, like my dad's generation, he wouldn't have heard my bands.
Getting exposed to it.
Yeah, let's say he came to a show or something, right? Like,
You're right. Yeah, everybody's more kind of crossed over in education, and we're like able to see each other's work more on a daily basis
and criticize it more. Yeah,
you're right,
for sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's more competition because everyone's trying to outdo each other. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird place to be in.
You're right, and that's an interesting place to be, because I know I got friends even online that maybe like are just maybe too negative with voicing that stuff.
Yeah,
and I always just think like, whoa, this ain't the place to be doing that, you know? Because you know, I sure don't want to hear about what you hate. I don't want to hear about what anybody hates. And I know that's how I feel. Sometimes I got to catch myself just like being bitter and resentful about that stuff. And I got to like be like, oh wait, man, it's all good. Just let them do whatever they want.
I want to hear what you think is the best of that genre of music, even if I don't like it. Like, make me like it. Explain to me why you like it, and maybe something will click and I'll get it.
For sure.
Or I won't, but I'll still be like, oh cool, you listen, go listen to it. Like, it's
for sure.
If it does it for you.
Just so you just gotta be open, man.
Yeah. Not be an old get off my lawn kind of curmudgeon. It's hard not to. Yeah. Okay, so if people are after that was kind of a cool tangent. I like it. If people are hearing about you for the first time on this show or want to find out more information, what's the best thing for them to do? Should they go to the Bandcamp or?
Bandcamp has there's a Crabskull Bandcamp that has most of my latest releases up on there, and then the Fabitch Bandcamp page has some of my stuff on there, and then some other stuff has the Ralphie Reese stuff, the FT Coconut stuff. You can also go to their Bandcamp pages too. Everything's kind of, I'm trying to connect everything, you know, to just kind of like have more access. But I've got SoundCloud pages too. Okay. But yeah, most of the stuff that I have online is just through Bandcamp and then SoundCloud. Okay. You can hit me up at Gmail, crabskull@gmail.com.
Cool. Do you think there's a starting point for someone who is, you know, someone's totally new to what you're doing? Like, what would you recommend, I guess, as something for them to listen to sort of get an intro to what your sound is?
I would say maybe Pink Quicksand. Okay. You know, Pink Quicksand is Pink Quicksand's a mixtape I made a few years back, and it's kind of a good example of of just what I'm doing on the MPC.
Okay.
Chopping up soul samples, adding my own little kind of dimension to it, and then just like sewing it all together in a tapestry that's like a little adventure.
Yeah.
And then that's like a good place to start with, in terms of something that's maybe a little more just feel good, kind of like beats.
Okay.
And I got some darker stuff that's like, it gets a little deeper and like maybe a little more abstract.
Cool.
But yeah.
Well, I think we talked about some of that too earlier. So, okay. And there'll be some songs on this episode too, so hopefully,
Cool.
people will, by the time they get to the end here, they'll have heard a couple tracks and they have an idea. So.
For sure.
And then I guess you're on the all the Instagram and Facebook and all that
And
shit
then I'm
too?
on Instagram. Just started Facebook with the Fab Itch page.
Okay, cool.
So haven't really been too active on it. I got to learn. I'm
Maybe
so new to it.
Maybe by the time this comes out, you'll already have it mastered.
Maybe,
Yeah.
We'll
But the Instagram, that'll work. And
yeah, the Instagram is going. I got Crabskull Instagram, and there's a Fab Itch Tapes Instagram page.
Cool. I'm following both of those. So
Yeah.
it's awesome. Cool. Okay. Well, yeah. If people want to hear more episodes of this show, you can go to witchpolice.com. All 300 and some episodes by the time this comes out will be available for free download and streaming. You can dig as deep as you want in the archives. You can find all the 3-peat episodes and related people episodes, and I'm sure there's other people you've worked with that have been on the show in the past. There's enough of an archive there. Yeah.
I would imagine.
And this also airs on Sunday nights at midnight on Yom FM. So this is it's like beginning of July now. It might not actually air till November or something. But the cool thing about that is it's just like an extra boost for an episode. I mean, they're always there for free download and streaming, so it's not like you have to wait for it to air. But if you happen to be listening to the radio at midnight on a Sunday, and here comes the Crabskull episode, maybe someone who missed it the first time online can suddenly hear your music and hear more about it. So
Cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks a lot for
the
having me.
man. It's cool.
Right on.